You're listening to Empire by Design, episode 78.
Hey, I'm Katie White, coach, consultant, transformation facilitator, action taker, empire builder, and this is Empire by Design. In this show, we're building empires, we're sharing stories, and we're getting up close and personal on the strategies that make an empire in today's online world. Get all the show notes, past episodes and more at katiewyatt.me. For now, settle in for the ride.
Hey Empire Builders, saddle up. In this episode, you are going to hear from a woman who made vegan sexy when it just wasn't sexy and is now making sobriety sexy. It's not just a great episode, it's going to be great for your health too. Let's get into it. Hey Empire Builders, thank you so much for listening to the show, coming back again week after week. You know, this show is weekly now. It's been weekly for around, I can't even remember, maybe about 8 episodes, and I'm loving the rhythm of a weekly show, and I'm loving you for showing up week after week and being part of the Empire by Design journey. I also want to say thank you for helping me. I'm on a journey this year, 2017, to get 100,000 downloads on my show. And I can't do it without you. And you're doing so much to help me out. So I'm already seeing a lot of growth in my numbers. And I would love you to help if you can. There's so many ways you can help. As simply as pausing this episode right now and making sure that you're subscribed in the podcast app is the first and easiest way. Another way that's really good is to share a particular episode that you have loved with a friend, a fellow empire builder, because, you know, we all value word of mouth referrals so much more than anything else these days. And if you're a blogger or a podcaster and you want to do a wrap up list post or list episode about your favorite business podcast and include me in it, wow, I would be so honored, and I'd love to share it all across my social media. There's lots you can do to help me on my 100,000 download charge, and I just so appreciate even just being here and listening is really enough. But if you want to do more, there's some ideas of what you can do. But enough about me. Let's get into the interview with today's guest, Rebecca, or Bex, as she's known to her friends, Weller. I guess you would say I'd noticed Bex Weller online when I started studying at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She had a fairly successful vegan blog called Vegan Sparkles, and when you're in the IIN community, you really notice the bigger names, particularly when they come from the same country as you. So Rebecca is a health coach. She's had lots of press around the country and around the world. She's from Perth, which is also where I'm from, so probably another reason why I've noticed her. And since creating Vegan Sparkles, she has created sexysobriety.com, all about taking the journey to give up drinking. And, you know, she documents her own struggles with drinking in her book, A Happier Hour, which is a great book. Definitely recommend it. What I really liked about interviewing Bex was she obviously has built a business off her own experiences, personal experiences. So she's gone on journeys. She's really been a surrogate for her audience, sharing and selling her experiences to her tribe. It is a really, really interesting way to build a business. I think a lot of us in this personal brand space are doing that kind of thing. And Bex is someone that has really done it well. So I definitely want you to have a listen to some of the, particularly some of the marketing lessons, as well as just hear the journey of how Bex has turned her own personal experiences into a thriving business. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get stuck in. Welcome to the show, Bex Weller. It is so exciting to have you.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's so good to be here.
Oh, good. It's kind of exciting because I always like to tell people how I know my guests if I know them, and we don't know each other, but I studied at IIN a couple of years ago, and when I was doing that, or Institute of Integrative Nutrition, for those who don't know that one, but when I was doing that, I came across your blog. You were kind of one of the leading health and wellness bloggers here in Australia with vegan sparkles. And so I just wanted to share that I've kind of known about you for a while, and so it's really cool to get you on the podcast.
Oh, fantastic. I love IAM. It absolutely changed my life.
Brilliant. And so I love to ask people when they get onto the show, like, what would you be doing if you weren't talking to us right now? What's going on in your day?
Well, I was going to load up some social media posts. I've been sort of playing around. I like to have categories, like, with each day just have some sort of theme to help me think of my social media posts. And lately I've been shaking that up a bit. Sometimes you do it for a while and I feel like, this needs fresh energy. So I was just doing that before we talked, and I'll still be doing that after we talk.
Totally. And do you use a scheduler? Totally random question, but how do you schedule yours?
I do. I use Latagram because I love Instagram. It's so good. And so that Latagram just really helps me I love to type things out as well, like on the desktop. So it
Yeah.
allows me to do that.
Oh, brilliant. Cool. Well, we will get you back to that very soon. But before, we would love to hear a bit about the empire that you're building. So, I mean, your empire has changed quite a bit recently. And, I was thinking about it before we spoke because I've read your book, I've had a look at your new program, Sexy Sobriety. I've obviously stalked your Vegan Sparkles website. And one thing that's occurred to me about you is that you are an early adopter or a leader in your space. Like, you were vegan before it was kind of cool to be talking about vegan, and now you're sober before it was cool. And will it ever be cool in Australia? I don't know. So I just want to know, like, the last year, like, what has that felt like for you?
The last year in particular, it's been
Yeah.
incredible. Like I had this dream for a long time to write a book, but to me, that was something that other people got to do. I wasn't sure that I really had it in me. So the majority of this past year has been writing and publishing and marketing the book. And that's just led me on such an incredible journey. We had created Sexy Sobriety 2 years ago, actually. And so having this book as well has just been able to bring us so many more women and help so many more people in the world.
Really? So has the book been really your main, I suppose, marketing strategy for Sexy Sobriety?
It has. I mean, it's been a huge one because, like, I never expected. The reason I wrote that one is because with Sexy Sobriety, it's a coaching program, and we have members from all around the world, hundreds of women from around the world, and they often would ask me as they're going through the Sexy Sobriety program, which is a 90-day program. They would say, they see me now, and they're like, "You're so happy, you're so well adjusted. I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's day 28, and I'm so crabby. I can't cope." And I would say to them, "It's normal. Like, it's all part of the process. I was there too." And they were like, "I don't believe you." So I wanted to write this book, really showing my story, a behind the scenes of what my journey was like with giving up alcohol, that I had developed a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol over the years, and it was very traumatic for me to let it go. And in this process of writing this book and letting it be such an honest and open account of what I went through, the level of connection, I mean, I had a lot of connection with members and stuff before as well, but I guess it's like, it's like they can read my diary now of what those few months were like. And that has really strengthened my relationships with all of our members and clients and so on.
And you're right, like, reading that book it is like reading your diary. And I mean, that must have been a bit terrifying at times, like, to hit publish on that, was it?
Oh my God, it was so terrifying because also, I mean, when you're writing a memoir, uh, of course, this was my first book as well, so I was learning how to do everything for the first time. Like, how do you even write a book?
Yeah.
What goes where, and how is it going to be interesting and entertaining? How do I tie all of my thoughts and experiences together in a package that makes sense? Also, there were so many fears around, oh my God, my colleagues are going to read this, my family. It's such a private journey. Am I doing the right thing? But all along, what I've discovered with my business, and like you say, my business has changed so much back from the days when I was doing vegan blogging and sharing recipes, is that I've stayed just true to my path. And what I mean by that is, wherever my wellness journey has taken me, I've sort of just trusted that that is what I'm meant to be helping other women with as well. And because I had experienced when I first started on this journey to disengage from alcohol, I shared my experiences on my Vegan Sparkles blog, and I received this outpouring of love and support from women who also said things like, I've never told anyone this before, but I have this issue as well. Or it was like you were reading pages from my diary. My story is exactly the same. And that gave me courage to then, later create the Sexy Sobriety program. And then again, when I was doing the book, I just kept thinking of all those women who are suffering behind closed doors and how it might speak to them.
I think, I think you've made a really good point there about you sort of draw the courage from those initial blog posts, because I think it's still a really hard leap to be so brave and honest, particularly, I mean, in Australia, like it's a country like Australia, like social drinking is kind of like an Olympic sport here. And for you to sort of stand up and admit that like you just couldn't live that way, and in the way that you did, like, and I mean, you even mentioned in your book that you'd signed up some women to do interviews with you about their stories, and then they cancelled because they were worried about the stigma that might come from being talking about that topic. Like, that, I mean, courage is one thing, but like, have you ever, if you had negative responses, or have you had negative responses that have kind of made you falter, or has it all been overwhelmingly positive?
Some people have said things that have been a bit insensitive. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but a few times, ex-colleagues and things have said things that have been like, okay. But what I'm trying to do, because the vast majority of the responses have been positive, I'm trying to just focus on those and just say, well, if there is a negative response, it's just their stuff. It's whatever is coming up for them. But yeah, I mean, when I first shared this story, I was only 6 months or so into my entrepreneurial journey. Before that, I was in the corporate world. And so to be so new in business, and I had no idea what I was doing, as none of us do, doing everything for the first time, like, how do
Totally.
you run a business? And I was doing health coaching, and I thought, if I come out with this, like you said, there's so much stigma involved. If I come out with this story about how I am struggling with alcohol behind closed doors, what if no one wants to work with me? And what if I lose all of my health coaching clients because they're like, well, you're a mess, lady. I
Yeah.
don't really want you coaching me. And then what if I have to go back to the corporate world, but no one wants to hire me because they're like, oh, she's only a bottle away from utter destruction. And so I was so terrified because I thought I could be burning everything to the ground, everything that I've worked so hard to put in place and to create. So I mean, I don't really know where I found the courage to share those first few blog posts. I think it was just like I was so fed up with struggling with this issue that I thought, in one respect, I thought it may speak to other women and help them, and in another respect, I thought, this is the next level of growth for me to be able to actually say it out loud.
Mm. And then I suppose then, there's been so many great things, and I guess interest, because there's not a lot of people having this conversation that you've sparked with Sexy Sobriety. Like, has that surprised you in the way that, I mean, even the media have been quite engaged with what you're doing?
Mm. It has been, yeah, really surprising and really exciting because, like you say, the Australian culture is one of, binge drinking is definitely a national pastime. And there are long held beliefs in society that if people that don't drink are not to be trusted, or they're strange, or they're fatally flawed, or they have moral weakness. There's all this stigma to deal with. And I've been sort of reaching out to some media outlets as well, and sort of trying to gauge the response with mainstream media. Just a couple of weeks ago, Channel 7, which, for your Australian listeners, they'll know that that's one of the largest Australian television networks in Australia. They flew me out to Sydney to film a story about women and alcohol and sobriety. So it's so exciting to see. I mean, for a long time, I've been doing interviews with personal development sites and wellness sites and that sort of thing. And of course, they're very engaged in the topic, and I love sharing the message there. But then to bring it to mainstream media, it's that next level, right? It's really starting that conversation.
And I think being, as you say, like talking to people in the wellness field, they're already half converted to the message that you're talking about. But I think this whole wellness boom that is going on and has been going on for the last few years, I think probably has meant we're more ready for a conversation like that. I don't know.
Definitely, because being well is cool now, right? Wellness is
Yes.
cool. I was thinking back to 2011 when I started my vegan lifestyle, and back then there was never vegan written on a menu. There were never health cafes. There was nothing. It was so hard to get any vegan food, and now what an explosion of health cafes and stuff all across the country.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, and it's so many great restaurants that will cater for any dietary requirement. Like the hilarious thing is when I first landed on your blog, I was kind of like, "Oh, vegan? No, I don't want to be that." And the hilarious thing is, 2 years later, I am.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
So, these things are a journey, and yeah, but I guess we can thank Instagram and all the pretty pictures of beautiful, healthy food for that.
I love it. Love Instagram.
But it's funny, I interviewed the Merrymaker sisters a couple of weeks ago. It hasn't gone live on the podcast yet, but well, it probably will have by the time this one does. But, they had a fairly high profile change here in Australia. Well, they're a fairly global brand, but they were very much a paleo message, and then they dropped the paleo. And I talked to them about this whole, it seems like a theme of this feeling from some areas of the wellness industry that you feel fraudulent if you're not living 100% the life that you're teaching, or the message that you're sharing, I guess. So and you've been through something similar, and I guess like I'm really interested in that moment of when you have just gone, no, like I cannot live this almost double life anymore. I have to say something. Like, did it feel like that for you, or was it not quite as momentous as what I've described?
Yes, it definitely was. There were a few catalysts for me finally wanting to make the change, but I'll never forget I was in a Skype session with a health coaching client, and she said to me, sometimes when I feel like I drink because I feel lonely, and I heard myself say, well, that's okay. And I was horrified the minute I heard myself say it, because I know that it's not okay to just escape our emotions with overeating or drinking or anything like that. And so I had been feeling like a fraud and like very inauthentic for a long time. But that was a huge catalyst. I also was going to parties with my ex-colleagues who were really good friends. And they would, when I'd get to these events, they would say, how's your health coaching going? And I would say, oh, it's wonderful. This is happening. That's happening. And then I would binge drink. And I would feel like such an idiot. The next morning I'd wake up and think, what am I doing? In front of these people as well. I'm showing them that, oh, yes, I've left the corporate world to start a wellness business, and yet I'm drinking myself silly, drinking much more than any of them ever were at these events. So I had many moments of feeling like, what am I doing? I can't go on like this. And I think that was part of the thing that inspired me to share it on my blog as well. I was just tired of feeling like a fraud all the time.
Mm. And I guess, one of the things, and you talk about this in the book as well, is just that if you're not drinking, you kind of, well, like you kind of have to sort of feel every moment because you can't, and it's a bit like what you said about your client drinking because she feels lonely. Like it's sort of a masking thing for emotions. And and that almost feels overwhelming in itself, the thought of feeling every moment in life. Like it's exciting, but it's also overwhelming because there's already so much going on in our lives. Have you found that you've also had to almost slow down aspects of your life so that you don't get overwhelmed?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So much so. And what I've seen from like sexy sobriety members, and I'm definitely this way myself as well, is I'm quite a sensitive soul. When I first started drinking at about 16 or so, I was quite introverted, quite shy, and that was part of the reason that I fell in love with alcohol because it could make me feel confident. Suddenly
Yeah.
I could talk to people and not be socially awkward. So when I took that away, at the time when I was drinking, I thought I was the life of the party. For the last 20 years, I'd always been the first one at the bar, the one most excited about social events. And when I took the alcohol away, suddenly I discovered, oh, actually, I'm quite introverted. I'm not the extroverted person I thought I was.
That
So I
must.
start,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, keep going.
Oh, so I started to really redefine what fun meant to me and to what I like to do with my time. And part of that included slowing down. I used to attract a lot of drama. I used to run away from my feelings a lot, coming back to that in dealing with emotions. When you are quite a sensitive soul, when you are a little bit introverted, it can be really tough to deal with this avalanche of emotions that can occur. I mean, life happens, right? We have curveballs every day, and to have to deal with the emotions, being very raw and open to them, it has been such a huge learning experience for me, such a huge growth experience. I really felt like my emotional maturity was stunted at 16, when I first started drinking in many ways. I didn't know how to cope with stress or anxiety or things like that. So each day I mean, of course, most days are amazing, but on the tough days, I've been really leaning on the tools that I have been using more and more. So things like meditation and yoga and journaling, and just really sinking into those holistic tools and being okay in the present moment, like just surrendering to it, as opposed to my old mode of operation, which was to get myself out of there.
Mm. Yeah. And have you noticed that's changed the way that you run your business?
It has. It definitely has. At one stage, I was trying to do too much. So I had my bexweller.com website where I was doing business coaching for wellness entrepreneurs, and I was loving that. I was also running Sexy Sobriety. I was also putting more vegan recipes on Vegan Sparkles, and I was into essential oils, and I just had so much going on that I couldn't keep it up. Like I was so overwhelmed, so stressed out, and to not have the old the old escape route that I used to have of drinking and numbing out, I had to realize that I need to just calm this down. I need to streamline and just pick one direction, one niche, and focus all my energy on that. So for me, I mean, for the last year, I've just been focused on sexy sobriety, and it's been working so well. Like for my personality and my business framework, it's just been ideal.
I think that's a really big thing. I mean, I had Amy Porterfield on the show a little while back, and she talked about the same thing, and she talks about it a lot in terms of giving one thing all you've got so that it's actually got the time and space to thrive. And I think that entrepreneurs, we are so caught up with bright, shiny object syndrome and ideas. And that's, yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, have you had to let go of things then, or have you just sort of made them almost more automated? Like, I know you had the Sparkle project, which is a self-study, so I guess that can just feed itself really. But have you actually had to turn away clients because they're not in that zone where you've decided to focus?
I have, and that's scary. I mean, it's scary when you first do it because you're like, yeah, at the time, Sexy Sobriety wasn't sustaining. I mean, my partner is my business partner as well, and it wasn't sustaining us. And so to have faith that it would get to the stage where it was a self-funded business, where it was looking after itself. That took a lot of courage to say to the business coaching clients, because that was going really well and I was really enjoying it. So it was a big leap to shut that down, and I was really scared about that direction. But I had seen from the letters that we had received from Sexy Sobriety members that it was changing lives, like of course, business coaching changes lives as well, but this was changing them on such a deep level that it just felt like this is where I need to be focused. This is what I need to be doing. So I trusted that shutting those things down. And like you mentioned, we did put a few of our courses that I was just like, these are too good to just close down completely. Put them into an automated wellness academy and close down the Facebook pages for them so that they're just self-study, 100% DIY, and then just focusing all of my attention into Sexy Sobriety.
Awesome. And we're recording at the end of 2016, but I'm interested to know, like, what's on your agenda for 2017?
I want to really expand it. We've just done a massive upgrade to Sexy Sobriety. So we've introduced new software. You know, every couple of years you're like, right, we're ready to go bigger. My partner and I have a joke where we go, okay, we're going pro. You know, every time we buy new studio equipment, or every time we get new software, we're like, okay, we're going pro. And we just laugh because we've been saying that, you know, for 3 years we've been in business now, and we say that all the time. But basically, I want to expand on Sexy Sobriety, so really upgrading the content. We have just finished a big upgrade, but interviewing more women about their sobriety journey and sharing that as well, like just keeping the conversation going and really getting deeper into the topic. I hope to run a few live retreats and things as well. A few of the interviewees we've had on, they are yoga teachers and meditation teachers and anxiety experts and naturopaths. So I just think it would be amazing to hold a retreat with all of their wisdom and be able to share it with women.
Sounds beautiful, with a delicious mocktail in hand.
Oh, yes. Now you're talking.
That's like actually a really cool question to end on that I hadn't even thought about, but what would be like your best mocktail to get people through Christmas if they, don't want to drink every event?
Oh, yes. I've been having this one. I call it the Fruit Tingle, and it's amazing. So it's soda water, mainly soda water, with a dash of cranberry juice, a dash of lime or lemon, and a dash of fresh passion fruit.
Oh,
it'll knock your socks off. It's so good.
That sounds gorgeous. And thank you so much, Bex, for coming on the show and sharing your story. I think what you're doing is amazing. I highly recommend your book. I really enjoyed reading it, and it did make me ask myself lots of questions about my own behaviour. So thank you very, very much. How can people connect with you if they want to know more about what you're up to?
Come on over to sexysobriety.com.au, and if you hit on /gift, then you can download a free coaching call and a few other goodies.
Fabulous. Oh, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We've loved contributing to your empire building today. Please share us with a fellow empire builder so that we can help them too. Remember, #100K Empire Army. Thank you to Luke at The Wellness Pro for production and editing, to all of our guests, and to you, our most important empire building listeners. You should also check out my other podcast, #LadyBossChats, where Elle Roberts and I chat all things Lady Boss life. We feel like you've just pulled up a cosy armchair with your biz bestie. Find us in your favourite podcast app or at theladybossproject.com.